A couple weeks ago, we asked people that are group leaders in our church, people who are the most committed to helping people grow in the faith. We asked them the question, why do we need God? And they gave a whole list of answers that I shared. The answer that we're looking at this week is found in Psalm chapter 14. It begins, "The fool says in their heart, there is no God." And we read that and we're like, that's right. These people are fools. These people are idiots. Anybody that doesn't believe in God is just a fool. How could you do that? Okay, let's go on to Psalm chapter 15. And God's like, not so fast. The book of Psalms is a book of 150 songs, and the book of Psalms is a song book. And how many of you come from church backgrounds? You're like, pull out your hymn books and turn to page 35 and let's sing. And, it's the red book, it's the blue book, it's the green book that were read when I was a kid. And that's what the book of Psalms is. It was a hymn book for people to sing psalms. And these were written then for people who are believers, that in the context of worship, they were drawing themselves to an awareness of God in their lives. And what Psalm 14 actually says in the original Hebrew is not the fool says in their heart, there is no God. It's the fool, the scoundrel, the evildoer is the person that says God is not here. And that's fundamentally different from there is no God. There is no God is the comment of an atheist. There is no God here right now in my life is the comment of someone who can believe in their head that there is a God, but in their heart, in the Hebrew, the concept of the way our social emotional lives worked, and for Hebrews, the heart was the seat of the emotions, and it was the place that controlled real behavior. That if you say in your head that there is a God, but if you say in your heart there isn't, then what's going to happen is you're going to live as if there's no God. So we've been asking the question, why God? Why do I need God in my life? And this is particularly relevant because in our culture right now, because of COVID, about 2/3 of people have just gone AWOL. Last week we talked about why do we need the church. This week we're talking about why do we need God. And to illustrate Psalm chapter 14, I want to show you this. This is a stick that I made. Now behind me is Arbor Vitae tree that I planted. I got it from Arbor Day. It's not very big. It's grown maybe, about a foot this summer. But when I planted these, the guy that helped me plant these said, if you don't protect these Arbor Vitaes during the winter, for this first winter, the deer are going to come and they're just going to strip them. And he said what a lot of people will do is they'll buy these menthol sticks. And they're sticks that you just drive into the ground right behind them. And then they smell sort of like Irish spring soap. And I said, well, how much are they? And they're pretty expensive. So I realized all you need to make this happen is to create a menthol stick is a stake, a mesh bag you can get from Amazon, and Irish spring soap you can get from the dollar store. So what I did is I put these behind every single tree, drove them into the ground, 40 of them, 40 stakes right behind 40 trees. And the very next day, Meadow brought me one in her mouth. I'm like, what are you doing? Very next day, she did it again. At the end of 40 days, I had all 40 sticks sitting right on my deck. And I was getting so frustrated with Meadow. Why are you doing this? Why do you keep doing this behavior? And I just had to remind myself, she is a golden retriever. This is what they have been bred to do over 300 years, over the life of this breed for red golden retrievers. And the reality is, what Psalm chapter 14 describes is that there are no human beings on the planet who refrain from doing evil. They're all evil, it says. All of their acts are vile and loathsome. And it's true. And the reason we need God, according to Psalm chapter 14, is God looks down and he asks, are there none who have knowledge? In other words, knowledge that I provide as their creator on how to make life work. No, there are none. There are nothing but people that are ignoring it all. And it says that the people who in their heads believe in God, but in their hearts act like God is not here, God doesn't see what's going on, those people actually are feeling desperate with what's going on. And so here, can you see this Meadow? Come here. Meadow, come here. Bring it here. She just brought me another one. Why are you doing this? She just brought me another steak. Stop it, dog. And I think that's what God is saying. Stop it. Stop doing this. Stop acting like you don't have knowledge on how to work. The end result at the end of the psalm, it says, they hurt one another as if they eat bread. In other words, you eat what? 3, 4, 5 times snacks, meals, that sort of thing. That as often as you eat is as often as you will hurt people if you do not live your life according to the knowledge of God. So there are lots of reasons, multitudinous reasons why God. We need hope. We need salvation, obviously. We need centering. We need peace. We need calm in the chaos. But the most important thing that we need outside of salvation is that we need to know how to make life work. And when we don't saturate our minds and our hearts and our entire lives with God's word, all we end up doing is we end up hurting one another. And the testimony of human history is that is exactly true. Without God's knowledge and living according to it, all we end up doing is hurting one another.